if you look at like the usual term of initiation is usually aligned to some sort of fraternity or lodge or group. And if you even look and think about what that takes is there is a process of slowly stripping a person away from what they know, right? I'm conditioning you to be a part of this group. I'm
Yeah.
conditioning you to be this. Once that happens, now I'm set for a different path. And this is again where like we talk about the choices after you balance the forces, the choices, and then coming into these places where it's like, oh, okay, this is a different way of being of life that this aligns. Okay, okay, yo, we are
Mhm.
in. Welcome to It's More Than Black or White Car Show Edition. This is Paul. I'm on location in my car, in my vehicle. Brian is home. B, how you
I'm home.
doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I feel like I should
um,
be. I feel like I should be in my car to kind of be like,
you might
on
have
the
to go in the car,
same
man.
page.
Like, make it even. Make it even. Well,
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. But listen, so this is we're excited for you to join us, and if this is the first time that you join us, welcome to the podcast. This podcast is for those that are in seeking or in search of counsel, guidance, or tips and strategies for a more productive and happier, healthier life. Because as the title suggests, the topics that are usually covered on health, it's more than black or white. So B and I are here to really provide light on things that most people may not even talk about. And today is one of those, to the fact people like, listen, this is what I love, right, about these podcasts is that there may be times when I'll say, hey, B, let's cover this. And he's like, all right. And this is,
Listen, I rarely ever say no to anything. I'm like, let's do it. Because, like,
listen,
I'm the type of person like, all right, it's coming to me because the universe is sending me this, and I just got to go with it. I got to go with the flow. People that
bless
say
up.
no too often, they play it safe, and life is boring, man. Just say yes to
Hey,
most things. Most things.
that's okay, B. Life,
Yeah.
look what my man see, and this is why I love. This is one of the reasons. And brother, I've told you this many times, and I'm going to tell you this live on wax. This is one of the many reasons I adore you because we can flow, and there's still wisdom and gems in here. Because I know you research. You're probably like, I have no idea what to research here, and I'm going to research everything. So
Oh, I'm researching I'm always learning. I'm always doing stuff, reading books, and so it never ends. I'm a lifelong student, and we'll see what happens, man.
yes, and listen. So okay, so here it is, right? And this is one of the things one of the reasons I wanted to cover this with Brian, and I left a little bit of mystery to this. And the topic for today's podcast is initiation. What the hell is this, and what does this have to do with health and well-being? I'm sure Brian was asking the same thing.
I did ask
So
you at first
he,
when I
he
first heard,
did.
like, where are we going with this?
Yes,
But
he
it
did.
all
He
makes sense
did
now.
too.
Yeah,
He did too. So listen, one of the reasons, and the reason I want to go over this is because Brian and I have been getting into some. I'll be free of saying dense, B. Right. I'm just gonna say it's vast. It's the health and well being sphere that we are diving into. I think is expanding
yeah,
beyond just the health and physical. We've talked about like the amino acids. We talked about the different hormones and testosterone, even sleep and
yeah.
self-study. This when we talk about this, initiation is really at the key piece of this for a couple of things that Brian said. Life can be boring, and sometimes we got to ride by this. Oh, I got the thumbs up on here. This is great. And
Look at that.
sometimes we got to ride by the seat, right? You got to ride by the seat of our pants. And this, when we talk about initiation, the initiation is the action of admitting someone into a secret or obscure society, or the action of beginning something. Why I want us to bring this up is because majority of the things that we're talking about, whether it's diet, whether it's mindfulness, it all requires some sort of initiation. And initiation, when I first learned about this was through the Mankind Project, when I went through a weekend called the New Warrior Training Adventure, and they called us initiates. And I was like, what the fuck? Why? Because they're like, you're initiated men. And over the years, it's become more familiar to me to the point that when I just finished this detox, Brian, I recognize this as an initiation into another way of life.
Yo, by the way, man, your jawline is coming in good. How much you down, buddy?
24.3 pounds, son.
Man,
24.3, baby.
quarter of a century, man. Quarter of a century. Woo, gone.
Brother, I feel like
Dude.
I just added a quarter of a century onto my life.
Yeah, good for you, man. You're looking good.
Thank you,
Looking
brother.
good.
Wait till I shave on my birthday. I'll be like, oh, I'll be looking clean. I'll be looking like a little baby, man, with some soft ass skin. So, so, B, you know, because I've been talking to B, I'm like, yo, this, some of those days sucked, man. And I wanted to go back and there was no chance to.
Yeah.
So, B, with that said, I wanted to touch base with you. Like, so when you first heard of initiation, right? When I first brought it to you and you were like, Paul, what are we doing with this? Like, what was coming to your mind in relation to health and well-being, if at all, when it comes to initiation?
Yeah, when you kind of broke it down to me, and I was like, it's like the first part of the hero's journey. I was like, it
Yes.
taking that first initial first step, and it's so, man. I talk to so many people, so many trainers, so many people at the gym all the time, and they're like, "Oh man, you're so lucky. You get to travel, you get to do all this stuff. You're basically like, semi-retired from the working force." And I'm like, but they don't understand what kind of goes behind the scenes. And then I try to tell them, like, listen, I am not smarter than you. I graduated 258 out of 265 people in my class rank. I went to college for 5 years, to a 2 year college for 5 years. Didn't get any degrees. Like, I am not book smart. Like,
Right.
but I grew up in a life where I had to be super resourceful, and I'm blessed that I have, like, everyone has these like traits that, you know God bestowed upon you, or whatever it is, the source, the universe, whatever you believe in, that.
Yeah.
And one of my things is I'm like aggressively patient, and I keep going straight, I keep going straight. And I've had a lot of mentors in my life, and they've really catapulted me to where I am now. And I continuously want to keep growing. That's the whole purpose of the soul, is to keep growing. No one wants to stay. Your soul gets bored when it's saying the same thing over and over again. And like one of the ticking points that kind of like changed my perspective. I wouldn't say change my perspective, but really is like, all right, fuck this shit, I'm ready to start now. Is like, we all had this, like, if you have this internal compass in you that's always trying to like point you in the right direction. It's trying to point you to the North Star. And a
Yeah.
lot of times it's scary, so people avoid it. Then when you start avoiding it, the pain teacher comes out. And the pain teacher keeps teaching you those lessons. And if you ignore them, they just keep getting harder and harder, harsher and harsher, until you're like, all right, fuck it. Like, I'm going backwards anyway. Might as well do something. you know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Bruh.
and it's like, I remember hearing this one time, and it was saying something like, what do you love enough to change for?
Wow.
What do you love enough to change for? So for me, it was like, I need freedom. I need financial freedom. I need, just to kind of do whatever I want. And that's big. I think most people do want financial freedom. Most people don't have I wouldn't say direction to get into it, but most people don't have the discipline to keep doing it. They're always
Mm-hmm.
making
Mm-hmm.
excuses because everything in their life is just so out of whack.
Yeah.
Dude. So
So
that's
B,
it.
you see, and see, people. this is why this guy, he's like, Paul, I don't know. Where are we going with this? And you see what he just did. Like everything, like majority of stuff I had in my notes to cover, this dude just hit on. B. See, this
So we should
guy.
wrap it up now. We're good. 9 minutes
We're
out.
good. All right,
All right,
9
man.
minutes. All right, but that's the
Yeah.
shortest ever. And listen, I want, yo, dude, I'm even more excited for this now because like you seriously hit on several points that I wanted to make when it comes to this initiation. First of all, I want to come back to people. Please, I want to highlight what you said, where people were like, "Hey, you're so lucky for you to do what you do. Oh man, I wish I could do that and travel." And what I was hearing in it, in knowing you for these years, is you've initiated yourself to be able to do this. This is one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up, B, because people fail to fucking realize that you got to go through the freaking rigor to get what you want. What you said, what do you love enough to change for?
Yeah.
Listen, that means if someone's like, hey, like, dude, like the reason I did the detox is because I love my life, man.
Yeah.
Like I see my brothers and I refuse to go that route that they're going. So I'll do whatever it takes to make sure that I go a different path. It's what it is. And that
Yep.
means first a couple things. I'm gonna have to do stuff that I don't want to do. I get to have mentors to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to tap into what do I care enough about that will prompt me to change. B, and you've seen it, brother. You
Yeah.
from the industry that we've been in for so long, Brian. We see people. I'm gonna speak for myself, and I think you'll agree here. I've seen people that have come to me like, "Oh man, I want what you have. Hey, I want to get here. Okay, look. So here's what you're gonna have to do. Ah, oh, I don't know, Paul. I don't know. You ever get that, B? They get,
God, at least once a day, man.
bruh. It
At
cracks
least
me
once
the
a day. Yeah.
yo,
Yeah.
Brian. And this is the piece that I think is. I'm just excited. Listen, for what Brian and I have done and what we're doing and what we're planning to do. This piece is extremely important if you're truly intent on making change. Initiation is a process in forging yourself into something new, to become a part of something, or to become, or to embrace or take on a new way of being.
Yeah.
Pe- People, it's like when people say, I'm going to go on a diet. That's not an initiation because you're doing it to like lose weight. And then guess what? When you're done with your weight loss, you're going to go back to eating freaking fried chicken stacks and a whole bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
I've seen it, man. And B, I think you've seen it too.
Oh yeah.
So, so Brian, to help us to help people illustrate some of this, the initiation, what I was thinking is that I wanted us to tap into what were some of the difficult things for us to do to change, right? And possibly who are some of the mentors. And I'll model this.
Yeah.
So just to, I'll keep it with something that's the most recent. And actually, we talked about the detox. I'll talk about another initiation that I did several years ago when I was writing Heal Thy Man. I decided to put myself through a sexual harnessing initiation, a sexual initiation. And no, it's not about me going to have sex with a bunch of random women. It was about me learning to harness my sexual urges to create something that is beyond a kid. So in this case, it was to create the book. Now, to be frank, like I have had a porn addiction, and I
Most
don't even
people.
know what. Yep, yep. And listen, it's what it is. And I
Yeah.
found that I would use porn as a deterrent, as a distractor.
Yeah.
So the difficult part for me, and part of this initiation, was first of all to make the decision to stop watching porn and to stop masturbating to porn. right? So I was like, oh man. First of all, this was tough for me because I was like, yo, I love pumping out knuckle children to dirty movies. It's just like a it's like a pastime. So I just so that was my thing. And
I love that. Knuckle children.
bro, I dig when you start giggling because it is
Uh,
contagious. Then I start laughing.
I
So,
appreciate
bro, so that was difficult for me because I thought anything with sex had to do with porn. So
it.
it was a stretch for me to first of all to learn what's different. And part of that was replacing the porn usage with something else. So that meant like going through in a way, if I was to look at my neurons and how they were creating new pathways, me creating a new pathway outside of porn was like that neuron drilling and boring through that old tendency.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in this way, especially to begin this, like I had to start looking, okay, now that I've created something new, I also had to forge a way of harnessing this energy. And that was the difficult piece of it because it wasn't like, listen, it wasn't like I could get a mentor to be like, hey, this is my situation. How do I handle it? Yeah, sure. They'll tell me some tips, but they have no idea of no one else has a way of dealing with it like I do because I
Mm-hmm.
started the problem.
Yeah.
And this is a piece of initiation, right? Like people are there's gonna be mentors along the way. The thing is, people, is you got to do the fucking work.
Yeah.
Okay. No one else is gonna come and do this for you. No one else is gonna be like, "Hey, Paul, put your pee away and stop tugging on it. Instead, go read a book." No, I do that on my own. And this is what it is when we talk about being an initiate. It means being able to start something fresh and new to get on the path and to become a part of what I was looking to become. What I was looking to become was an author. And I wanted to get the message
Yeah.
out. So that message became stronger for me than pumping out knuckle till children to some freaking Vanessa Del Rio film. Okay.
Yeah.
For those that don't know what it is, don't even worry about looking it up. She's an old porn star. But you see, like, so the whole main thing why I want to bring that up is because there's a reconditioning of self. There's a level up to self. And also there's a beginning to recognize like, okay, my old self no longer serves. So I have to let that go. So I just give that as a brief example. First to model for you, Brian, but also for the
Yeah.
people, like what this initiation can be about, especially when it comes to leveling up in any type of health or well-being, bro.
Yeah. I just got done watching probably one of the most amazing interviews. And of course, my boy Paul Chek was on it, and
Of course.
He got interviewed by a guy named Andre. I forgot his last name. DU something. He's the guy with the slick black hair. Always sits like really calm in his chair. He had so many
Okay.
great guys. It's awesome. One of the best
Mm,
interviews I ever had. And Paul Chek was talking about. I'm going to be talking a lot about him and using what he said in this
I
because I
love
think
it.
it wraps in beautifully. And um, one of the things he talks about is like how to up level yourself. How do you use your energy to manifest what you love to do? And there's three different things you do. You find out one is love, which is like I talked about before. Like, what do you love enough to change for? For
Yeah.
you, it was being an author. Like you like, I want to be an author. I'll do whatever it takes to be an author. I'll make sacrifices. Number two was balancing forces. I'll get to that in a second because that was interesting. And then after you do find what you love, after you balance the forces, and then you get into choices. And I think this is kind of what you were talking about. So he was mentioning there's three choices you can make to any relation and of it. There's three choices you can make in relation to any person, place, or thing. So the optimal choice is always doing the best choice for your dream team, as he says, the dream
Mm,
team. So all the people like supporting all your close friends, people in your inner circle, if you believe in spirit guides, they're all rooting for you up in heaven. They're like, come on, Paul, let's go.
You
Let's
got
do this. Let's
this.
write this book. That's the optimal choice.
Yeah.
Then you got a suboptimal choice, which most people are in, which what I was hearing is you were kind of getting into. Yeah, that's the one that gives you instant gratification, but it's almost always causes problems on the other end, especially for your dream team. Because it's like, all right, we got to wait for him again. Here we go. They get all the time in the world, so they don't care. So it's like, to a certain extent, but they're rooting for you in this lifetime.
Yeah.
And the third choice is basically apathy. Don't do anything. And that's dangerous, So like not doing anything is just kind of like a waste of time. And then the fourth one, which he talks about, is the four doctors. And we talked about this over off the podcast here. Dr. Quiet, Dr. Movement, Dr. Happiness, and Dr. Diet. Right? Did I say diet, movement, happiness, diet, and quiet? And
Yep. Movement.
that's how you kind of do it. But what was interesting, and I kind of want to I wrote down a lot of notes on what Paul said here, and it was so fascinating. And he talked about the forces. And so once you find out what you love to do, you go into what are you doing that is creating destructive energy in your life? Where are you too catabolic, not anabolic enough as far as like healing, growth, and the repair process? So there's only two forces in the universe that creates everything. That's yin and yang. And you're out of balance with that, you're going to have a trouble. You're going to have a lot of trouble in your life. And he talks about, I wrote every word for word exactly what it wrote. I wanted to get this down. And
I love it, bro.
I think you'll appreciate this. He talks about the myth of the dragon. So in Taoism, they don't use the word God, right? They use dragons, right, as a symbol for God. So he was saying that the dragon has a very favorite hobby. It lives to breathe universes into existence, and everything it breathes universes into existence. It breathes two baby dragons, a black one called yin and a white one called yang. And the dragon looks at his little baby dragons in the universe and says to the two baby dragons, "You two can rest from managing the universe when you get along." And that is the myth of the dragon. So if you have one yang, way too much yang in your life or way too much yin in your life, the dragons are always going to be dancing. They're always going to be fighting. So you have to balance that out. If your body's out of whack, Paul, like, can you relax? Are you truly happy? Can you be creative? So you need to find like things in your life that are causing you stress. Like you got to balance them out. We're always going to have shit that's going on in our life, but you have to balance it out. Yeah. And if we live in a society where like people will like, it's like they wear their struggles as like a badge of honor. Oh man, like, hey, how are you? Oh man, life is so rough, man. Like I had all this stuff going on. Like nothing good comes out of it because they almost like fear that they're going to be looked upon differently if they be like, hey man, I'm blessed today, man. Like woke up good. Had great sex last night with my wife, like all this stuff, and like ate good food. I went to a restaurant, did this, got my plan. I booked a plane ticket here. Got a great workout in. It's like they're almost embarrassed to say that. It's like they almost want you to like have a shitty day so they can make themselves feel better, Yep. So it basically kind of goes in that like love, balance out your yin and yang choices in your life, and then kind of going with the four doctors, because at the end of the day, like if your sleep is shit, you're not gonna do anything. If you and your happiness, your Dr. Happiness, what he calls it is the chief doctor. He controls everything. You got to do things in your life that makes you happy. Otherwise, everything else is gonna kind of fall apart. Yep. Diet. Are you drinking clean water? Are you eating good food? And if you're on a good mission to kind of change something positive in your life, and you really want to do something good, you want to put all that energy, you have to vitalize your body good. It's not stopping at Arby's and, pounding down, 64-ounce Coca-Cola and like, taking shit vitamins from sick plants and stuff like that. It's got to really get into it. And that's where like the coaching kind of comes in. Because a lot of people don't know how to eat. They don't know how to move properly. Everyone's different. Somebody has a stressful life. I'm not going to put them through a power workout. It's insane. It's stupid.
Put more
You know,
stress on them. You put
you
more
put more
stress on them.
stress on them, man. So that's where like a coach or a good therapist would come in and kind of balance that out. I know I went off on
Brother.
a huge tangent there, but I had to share what
No.
Paul said, man. And man,
Yeah.
check out that
No.
interview, man. Check out that
Dude.
interview, just for the listeners.
Brother, yeah, please. I want to make sure we get that in the show notes.
Yeah,
Because, bro, that was no tangent at all. That was freaking. That was exact, bro. See, dude, you get it. You get it.
yeah.
I want to highlight a couple things too, because when you talk about balancing the forces, that's a huge piece, I think, in the initiation process, or for a
Mhm.
person that's going into a new phase of what they want to embrace.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because some of the mythopoetic pioneers of men's activism and men's rights back in the early 80s, like Robert Moore, and Robert Bly, Douglas Gillette. Like these guys talked about, well, I think it was Robert Bly specifically. He talked about taming the dragon.
Mm.
And it's very interesting because, especially, and brother, you bring up something I fail to even consider when it comes to initiation, is that balancing of forces is a major component, because most people will think going to Arby's is happy. There's a false sense in their body and in their whole constitution that thinks, well, this will make me happy in some way.
Well, that
That's
goes to the
false.
suboptimal choice of it's an addiction.
Yeah,
You know,
yes, bro.
it's great for about 20 minutes, and after you digest that, your last bite, you're like, "Fuck me, why
Yeah.
did I do that?"
Why did I do that? What did I just do? It's
Yeah.
and it's interesting because that's something that I experienced going through the detox. Like there was a couple days specifically. Like fortunately, like I'm on day 18, so the past couple days I've been able to eat, like take in soups. Like I had soup today, I had fruits yesterday, so I'm able to slowly start to eat. However, when it was like right in the beginning, I would say before day 10, like probably like 7 or 8, I was fiending for freaking Wendy's. I was fiending for a piece of fried chicken. I wanted coffee. I wanted a little bit of coffee with a bunch of milk and sugar. And it was like there was actually a process going on in my brain. Like, you're gonna feel like shit afterwards, right? Yeah, but I know it's just what I know. No, that's false. That's not what you know. That's what you think you know. We're gonna learn something different right now because that's only a thought impulse. But I can smell the Wendy's though. I can smell the fried chicken and biscuit and the butter, the whole thing. I was going back and forth, and I just decided to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And it was like I had my tea and my water, and I went to sleep. Now I say this because people, it wasn't like this only happened one day. This happened for probably about 4 or 5 days until it got to the point where I was like, oh shit, I never needed that for happiness.
Yeah.
I never needed that shit. I never needed a freaking Heineken to make me feel good. I never needed a freaking joint to make me feel good. If I eat the proper foods and I take care of myself, like I stay quiet, like I've been meditating in the morning and in the evening. I've been doing my yoga sun salutations in the morning, moon salutations in the evening. So all the fresh doctors and stuff got my quiet, got my movement, got my happiness in now with my freaking mango. I was like, mwah, 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 mwah. Oh my God, that mango is delicious, bruh. And, and and what I'm consuming, right? So this whole piece, and if you look at like the usual term of initiation is usually aligned to some sort of fraternity or lodge or group. And if you even look and think about what that takes, is there is a process of slowly stripping a person away from what they know, right? I'm conditioning you to be a part of this group. I'm conditioning you to be this. Once that happens, now I'm set for a different path. And this is again where, like, we talk about the choices after you balance the forces, the choices, and then coming into these places where it's like, oh, okay, this is a different way of being of life, that this aligns. Oh, this feels different. This is, how do I have more energy right now?
Yeah.
How am I this much pounds lighter and I still feel like, oh, junk? Like this is great.
Yeah.
So you know, I'd say it's not to go too much off on a tangent, but I think it's important that if you're doing something right now, or you're like, I'm ready for a change, we bring this to you because it's important that you're also ready to be initiated into
Yeah.
a different way of life and being. This is no game. Okay.
Yeah.
Laughing and ha 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 he ha, because that's like my affect and shit. But like this is what it is. This is something that's important if you truly want and you're ready for a different way of being, man. That's what it
Yeah.
is. It's got to get
We're all,
initiated.
we're all, we're all, we're all put here to do something extremely special.
Yes.
And we all have it in us. And it's like you look around, like you ever watch somebody that is in soul, so to speak? Like they're
In soul. Tell me more
like
about that.
like in soul, like they're living their soul purpose. Like like Michael Jordan, for example. Look at Michael Jordan, man. He just man, I love watching his 80s and 90s tape. He just I wouldn't say effortlessly. It looks effortlessly to us. He just man, the things that he does, like it'll never be replicated. Like Da Vinci or who painted in the Sistine Chapel, Michelangelo.
Yeah.
Like I've been to the Sistine
Yes.
Chapel. I'm looking up. I'm like, how the fuck do you like? How do you do that? That's insane. Like I can't even comprehend that. Where does he come with that? To me,
Yeah.
that's like working from soul. Like somebody that
Mm.
just does something so beautiful. Like I remember looking at the Sistine Chapel and I got goosebumps, man. Like it
Yeah.
was just
Mm.
I was in such awe. Like it just moved me so deeply. It's because I believe that I'm seeing the potential that's in me and he's projecting it out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like our souls are
Yeah.
like connecting. So like it's
Mm.
like I see potential in great people, and it
Yeah.
just like if like gives me goosebumps. So we all had that.
Mm.
And the thing is, so many people are
Mm.
just sleeping. They're unconscious. They're because I was reading like something the other day, and they were saying like 70% of people or 75% of people, I think this might have been in the Paul Chek interview, that like hate their jobs in the
Yeah.
world, like hate their
Yeah.
jobs, and that's why the pharmaceutical companies are one of the highest profitable jobs because no one's taking that first initiation, that first step to changing their life. Because it's like
No.
they'd rather just be comfortable collecting a paycheck and like risking things and just kind of going throughout the day to day because maybe they don't have the confidence in themselves because they still have mommy and daddy in the back of their head, or they just have their limited
Mm.
beliefs and they think they're all alone. Like you're not alone, man. Like
Not
even if you're
alone,
by
bro.
yourself, you're not alone. like
No, exactly.
like
Never alone,
like
bro.
the universe has got your back, man. The universe, like look around you, man. The universe puts air in your body, has water there for you. It has food there for you. Like the universe has your back. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want so dude, you said something that I think is key for us to address, brother. This the discontent which can spark initiation,
Yeah.
because most of us, most people, like you mentioned, are failing to live from their soul, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what I mean, dude.
Mhm.
And like, I'll give you a perfect example using you as an example. When you told me about the trip you were taking to go into Vietnam, to go in the cave, brother, your soul was beaming through your body, bro. Beaming. Because first of all, for people that don't know, this isn't some trip. It's like, hey, I'm hanging out a weekend. I'm gonna go on this trip. Nope. You gotta actually. This is a lot of preparation, a lot of planning. Most people will never have an opportunity to go on something like this. So when Brian said he was going, I knew this was connecting to his soul because I could tell by how he reacted, how he was telling me, shoot, even in the pitch of his tone, of his voice. So when I hear that, I want more people, and Brian's the same. We want more people to live in that.
Absolutely.
People, people like
Yeah.
Paul Chek, we want you to live in that because listen, living a life of quiet desperation will lead you to death sooner than it's your time.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to know, and Brian, I think you touched on this before, that a lot of times life will tap you on the shoulder, will give you a shake, or punch you dead in the fucking face.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it wants you to make a change because you're here for something special. This is what I think ties into that hero's journey. Because if you look at any of the movies, and if you go back to that podcast that Brian and I did about the hero's journey, another tip top one, you'll notice that each of them has to go through an initiation. One of my favorite ones to refer to is Neo. Neo was working in a freaking cubicle. Working in a freaking cubicle. Discontent was like, yo, I know there's something else out there. Didn't know how to do it. And here's the thing, Morpheus gave him an opportunity to get out. He was like, no, I'm not jumping off the roof. This is insane. I remember that. This is insane. No. And then he got caught. And then he ended up like, okay, I got to do the hard shit.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that will step me outside of my comfort zone, outside of my boundary of what I think I know, to get to that, to get to my soul calling. And this is what it comes down to. This is one of the reasons I wanted us to really go into this, because listen, we have after this podcast, you're gonna see, we got a good amount of guests coming up, and some really special guests that are gonna be having us tap into soul calling. What some would say God, what some would say universe, Allah, Yahweh, however you term it, that force that's higher. B and I are tapping into that to help you get there and bringing in some tippity top cats to
Yeah.
help you get there. You know what I mean? Because we care, we love you, man. We don't even know you yet. Like
Yeah.
maybe we met some of you, but we have yet to meet all of you. Maybe when we have our retreats coming up in future years and we go, do some things, you'll come on with us. But I
Love
wanted
that.
to make sure, yeah, man, B, you know how we got plans, bro.
Oh,
So,
and yeah.
bro.
Mm-hmm.
And this piece is, and this is the thing, like, so when Brian and I come on here, and another reason why I want to do this, when we come on here, like some of the things that we ask you to do, to us, and I'm gonna speak for myself, to me, and maybe like, yo, this, they could do this. And I want to acknowledge that some of these things that we ask you to do may be difficult, and that's okay. The difficult stuff that you go through forges you to become something higher, something different, man, and
Yeah.
women. Okay?
If you want something different in your life, you have to do something different. And
Have
a lot
to,
of times you
man.
do something different, it's scary because you can fail. And to me, it's like, fuck cares? Like, fail. You should go try to fail. I remember reading I forgot the woman. You ever see that? What was that first book with David Goggins, where it's like living with a seal? I think it was called Living with a Seal, and the guy basically
Damn.
hires David Goggins to go live with him for 30 days, and every day it's like David Goggins like basically like just torments a piece of shit out of the guy to make him mentally tough. But what was cool about the guy and his wife was like the founder of Spanx. They have a cool thing where they sit at the dinner table with their daughter. And it's not like, hey, how was your day at school? Tell me something great that happened. They sit down with their kids and they're like, hey, what did you fail at today? What was a lesson that you learned today? And the kid like comes home, he's like, oh, let me tell you what I failed at. He's like so excited.
Yeah.
And that just builds callous on the brain for later in life. That's another thing I hate about our education system, because like wrong answers is like you're stupid or you don't get what you're
Yep.
doing. No, man,
Yep.
like
No, it's wrong. It's wrong.
we learn differently, and so
Yeah, man.
take chances, and you don't fail, you just gain experience. Like I was talking to somebody the other day and he's like, oh, I had this business for 5 years, about 5 years ago. So and he's like, it just didn't work out. I'm like, well, let me ask you a question. If you knew what you knew now 5 years ago, and without making any of those mistakes, do you think you would have been successful now? And he's like, yeah. Oh, why the fuck are you talking to me? Why aren't you working on your business now? Like, that was
Right.
a 5 year lesson. You went to school for 5 years, man. You went to a hard knock school for 5 years. Do something. But
Bro.
they're so ingrained in their mind. They're like, oh, I'm just so scared of failing again. I'm like, God, man, take that first step. You're never gonna like. My biggest fear. Somebody's asked me, "What's my biggest fear?" Is me being like 90 years old, 100 years old. I plan on living to 100. Being 100 years old on my deathbed, and knowing that I got a few weeks left to live, and I'm like, I'm going to start looking back, and I'm going to be like, what did I always want to do that I didn't do it? I do not want that shit. I do not want that.
Yup.
Just, or what did I not say to that person? I wish I would have said to that person. I don't want that on my conscience. You know, I want to,
Daddy.
I want to go and be like, all right, man, I did everything I possibly could do. I got the shit kicked out of me most days. I lived a good life on the rest of the days, and you know, here I am, and I'm ready to go
Here I
back and meet
am.
my other soul buddies. We're gonna have a little party, then I'm gonna come back and reincarnate and do it all over again. You know,
And so it is, and so
so
it is,
it
and
is.
so it is, bro.
So it is.
Yo, bro, I love this, man. I love this because I know you and I are gonna be over in our hundreds, and like we did it all. We did it like old blue eyes. We did it our way. That's how we do, bro. That's how we do.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. So we're
So
gonna
let's
start
wrap it
wrapping
up.
up.
I know
Yeah,
you got something going on. So how about we give
yeah,
maybe like each give like 2 tips that we can give somebody, the audience out there, that they can kind of start with. You know, for me, it'd be
yeah.
like, what do you love more than what you're doing now? What do you love that you're willing to change? What do you love? What is your goal? Like, you know, for me, it'd be like, I want to travel the world. I want to be financially free. I need to make X amount of money to
Yeah.
do this, and then start
Mm,
doing
I love that, man. For me, it's my one right now is um have a guide on the path. So what I mean by that is it could be a mentor. It could also be someone to hold you accountable or be like, "Hey man, you got this." Or man or woman, whoever, just have someone at your side to remind you of what Brian said, what you love or what you're doing this for. That's my one. What you got, B?
I just thought about this. Make a list of 10 things that are just a thorn in your ass, that if you didn't have those things in your life, you'd be on a different level, you'd be in a different place in your life.
Ooh,
And
child.
every 2 to 3 weeks, knock one of them off your list. Knock one of them off your list.
Chop. That's bro. I love that. I love that. And my second one is actually it's a cheat, but it's actually a play. It's actually the root of the word initiation. Initiate something. Start something. Put the fear to the side. Because believe me, I get it. I've told Brian this detox that I'm ready to finish. I procrastinated on this for 3 months. 3 months, man.
Now look at you, man. You got your
Now
modeling
look at
career
me,
started. You're good, man.
bro. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be chilling, bro. I'm like on the runway, like, okay, I'm showing this shit. Listen, start something. You're worth it, okay? You're worth it. You're worth it. So start. All right. B,
Hey, man.
see, who needs notes?
I don't even know what that is anymore. Let's go.
What? Notes.
What?
Where we're going, we don't need notes. What the fuck? All right, yo, everybody, thank you for tuning in. If you found value in this, you know the drill. Like, share, subscribe. Share with someone else that you think will have benefit from this. And we adore you. Thank you. And stay tuned. Very potent guests coming up. All right.
Appreciate you.
Peace.
Peace. Peace.
Oh, and balloons. I'm sorry, I got excited for that, man. But yo, P, I love you, man. Thanks for rolling with me on this, bro. I apologize for being late, but thanks for rolling with me on this, man.
All right,
All
man.
right.
All good, but man.
Peace, gang. Yes,
Take care,
sir.
buddy. Yep.
Peace.
Later.